gonna get to know you. We're gonna talk it out. We're gonna get to know you and what you're all about. We're gonna get to know just what makes you feel alive. We're gonna get to know how you build, lead, and thrive. Build, lead, and thrive. Voices of the Androscoggin.
Welcome to Build, Lead, Thrive, Voices of Androscoggin, a bi-monthly podcast that features in-depth conversations with the people shaping Androscoggin County. Each episode dives into personal stories, showcasing the leaders and entrepreneurs behind the region's economic and community vitality. Hi, I'm your host, Shanna Cox, President and CEO of the LA Metro Chamber. I'm joined by local talent, longtime friend, and our producer, Mark Turcott.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we put in a little jingle last time. We've got
Yes.
some upgrades coming today. Our guest is going to get to experience all that for the first time.
It's going to sound so good. We have transitional music now. It's a whole thing.
It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Together, Mark and I highlight the leaders and entrepreneurs building a stronger economy and vibrant community right here in our region, sharing stories of how they build, lead, and thrive. So today, we're sitting down with Jenn Lever, president of Baxter Brewing Company, a company that helped put Lewiston on the craft beer map and continues to innovate in one of Maine's most dynamic industries. Jenn's story blends leadership, community, and creativity, and we can't wait to dive in. Welcome, Jenn.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
We're
excited
so
to be
excited.
here. Yeah.
It's you and I, we started today talking like there's some legislative things, and I don't think people can fully appreciate the complexity of your role. It's like you brew beer, you run a pub. I'll talk about your bio in a second and all of it. But like, much like me, I don't know that there's a normal day. Is there a normal day?
If there is, I haven't found it. And it's so much of our industry too, like is driven on the weekends, from the pub events to how we show up for events across the state and across the New England. A lot of times that's weekend work or evening work, or you do tastings and off premise at times in places where people are going and buying and purchasing their products to try to get out in front of them. So between myself and the team, it's not something you turn off.
But you're still at work at 9 or 10 on Monday through Friday. It's not like you're like, oh, well, I guess this week it's a Thursday through Sunday week. It's nope, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's a challenge, but it's like anybody else, right? And when you love it, it's easy to dive in and have the days be long and consecutively long days because there's just more always to be done. Small business and small team and that are very nimble and awesome, but it's a challenge.
But huge impact. We're going to talk about that.
We hope.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I know you wouldn't say it about yourself, so I'm going to talk a little bit about you because if it was you, you'd be like, I'm Jenn Lever, this is where I live. So we're going to talk a little bit about you, and I'm going to say the things that you're always too kind or humble to say about yourself. So Jenn Lever serves as president of Baxter Brewing Company, where she leads the company's strategic vision, operations, and commitment to brewing excellence. With a strong background in engineering, manufacturing, and leadership, Jenn brings a unique blend of technical expertise and business acumen to Maine's craft beer industry. So she's an Auburn, Maine native. Jenn graduated from Hobart and William Smith colleges with a degree in economics and sociology. Hey, I'm also an economics degree holder, and I get super sappy every time I get to meet, like, oh, really? And by the way, that makes complete sense given how I know you. She began her career in the food and beverage sector, where she developed her foundation in process improvement and operational efficiency. After more than a decade in engineering and manufacturing leadership roles, she returned home to Maine. Thanks, great choice. We love that. She joined Baxter Brewing in 2017, at that point as Director of Operations, before advancing to Director of Sales and Operations. In September of 2019, I don't think I realized our timing was so similar to each other. In September 2019, Jenn was promoted to president of Baxter Brewing, becoming one of the few women in the country to lead a major craft brewery. Under her leadership, Baxter has navigated, and I have watched you do this with grace and humor, has navigated the evolving challenges of the craft beer industry from market saturation to shifting consumer preferences, while maintaining its adventurous spirit and deep local roots. Thanks again for that. She guided the company through a significant brand refresh, strengthened distribution partnerships, and emphasized a workplace culture grounded in collaboration, creativity, and accountability. Jenn's also a passionate advocate for Lewiston's local economy and the role that businesses play in community and revitalization. kudos to you because you bring that to the board at the chamber, and that's one of the reasons that I love you. She has shared her views on Baxter's location in the historic Bates Mill complex as symbolic of the city's resilience and potential, envisioning continued growth, innovation, and local job creation. Her leadership reflects a commitment to ensuring that Baxter's success continues to uplift its people's partners and place. That's a commitment I love. Outside of work, because she's a whole person, I promise you, Jenn enjoys snowboarding, playing softball, and tackling home and landscaping projects. She's an excellent and avid golfer, coming back from a fresh golfing trip. She embodies the adventurous spirit that Baxter Brewing was founded on, embracing challenge, celebrating creativity, and championing the power of community. I would point out that I had to completely rewrite your bio because you were humble.
I was like, you did a deep internet pull.
I went deep in the sources. Yeah. Because I've known you almost the entirety of the 6 years that you've been president. I came into my role October of 2019. Both of us got slammed with the pandemic months into our roles. And so I've seen you navigate those changes, those refreshes, and you never talk about it the way I just had the pleasure of sharing it on your behalf.
I appreciate it very much. Yeah, it's very kind. But yeah, I think it's what all small business point of contacts are doing, right? Regardless of your role or title. Navigating COVID was just this impossible feat. And even throughout it, we relaunched the rebrand on February 29th of 2020.
Oof.
And I pulled the sales team from the trade on March 11th of 2020. I don't think those are two dates that I'll ever forget the rest of my life. And internally, we kind of just talked about that time as we'll do better on the next pandemic. Right now, we're pivoting, we're doing everything we can. When your craft industry in general is so relationship based, it's filled with so many type A people that love to be with people, love to tell you about what they're doing. You take those items away and that time to really embrace and show that enthusiasm and watch people drink what you've worked so hard to build. It was really redefining what does success look like and how do we pivot. And we're fortunate that we are so aligned with a grocery store buyer from a 12-pack value purchase that, made in a Lewiston mill. We want to be affordable. We want you to be able to pronounce the name. And that was our saving grace in COVID, is that people were choosing Baxter 12-packs to take home with them and kept the team going, really. Without that, we would have had a much more challenging 2020 than we did. 2020 feels like
a lifetime ago.
Right. Yeah.
It does feel so long ago. So much has changed since then. And the way we've kind of out of necessity, it was out of necessity. And I say that recognizing that not everybody did navigate it. Not everybody did come out on the other side. And so I think for those of us who did, some by good luck and fortune as well as hard work, right? There were definitely multiple pieces there. I think part of the reason we did is there didn't seem like there was an alternative.
Yeah.
You just wake up and you lean in and you do it again and you do it again and you do it again. And then all of a sudden it's 2023 and you're like, oh, wow, that happened.
Yeah. It might be sheer stubbornness to some extent,
too.
Yeah.
No, it's 100%. When you said type A, I'm like, mm-hmm.
It's something's going to take us out. It's just not going to be this.
Yeah.
It's not this. We're here
not
for
today.
we're here for the next hurdle. So, yeah. But, no, it's been an incredible experience. I had no idea, being from Auburn and graduating from Edward Little and then seeing this business in Lewiston really get these accolades. That I was living in New York and then in Virginia at the time. I got the very first Baxter glasses, can-shaped glasses, when Baxter first launched. So to come full circle to be working in the community I grew up in and in my favorite state in the country, I feel very fortunate, even though it's been challenging.
You're not just working, you're leading in it.
Yeah.
There's some things that I think some of us make choices about in life that might be reflected as a choice, but it's actually a choice you wake up and make every day. Your commitment to this region and to I didn't even name it in here, but you've been very active in the Brewers Guild. And so you're active within your industry, you're active within this region. And this region is not just Lewiston, Auburn, you're active within New England, even as you talked about. And so it's a choice that you're making every day to stay here.
Yeah. No place I'd rather
invest in
be.
your people, and I'm fortunate to connect with different members of your staff in different ways in the work that we do here at the chamber, and like that commitment, and it is a renewed commitment every time I talk to them, and it's reflected in everything they say and do.
Good.
And so that's just that's the culture part that you've built. You're not just in an office making these choices and having this commitment. The way that you've shaped, grown, and developed your team and culture, and shout out to Jess, who is also regularly doing that as well. It shows, and I've seen it reflected in the pub. I've seen it in your staff. I've seen it in your HR who hops on my hospitality calls. It's universal.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it. It's a very fortunate, really, really, really great team across the board, and just seem to be getting and refining just a little bit better. That's been what we've been aligned on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that and respect that. So today, before we dig in to the fun parts, we're going to do our light getting to know you. Before we get into the deep stuff, we want to know you a little bit more beyond just the title. What is your go-to Baxter beer or favorite product right now?
Such a good question.
Thanks. You didn't see that one coming?
Yeah, I know. I will. It's like sometimes people really want to change it up. And I always feel like a cop-out to say seasonally it changes, but it does.
Okay, so this season right now.
Well, I know that the Oktoberfest kegs are very, very limited. So if I'm drinking a beer, Oktoberfest is at the top of the list right now. Just so proud of the product we put out there and the season we had with it. I love our brown ale. It's a sleeper option. It's somebody in marketing is going to be kicking my shins, being like, "That's not what you should have plugged." Yeah. But what we've been able to do with the non-alcs and the Delta products and the sampling of those products and just the team engagement around where we are, where we've come from, and where we're going with that product lineup is. If I'm drinking at the pub, particularly, that's what we're drinking. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're, making a lot of decisions about based on. I'm a fall girl, you know. So whatever.
Are you a pumpkin spice latte kind of girl? Truth be told.
Yeah, of course. Everybody's gonna have one. It's like saying that you don't have a pumpkin head. If you don't, you're missing out. I feel sad for you. It's the experience. It's like not having an apple cider donut at Wallingford. It's like I'm sad for you.
Ever miss that opportunity?
Yeah.
Just treated the team to a dozen last week for Taste the Harvest when we were picking up some final products. There was nothing like a hot donut.
Yeah,
fresh out.
There's just the hometown pride. There's great apple orchards all over the state, but my heart could never say that there's a better apple orchard than Wallingford's because it's like. My whole life.
Because the Red Eddie himself would rise from his grave.
Exactly. And I know that a Red Eddie was once a ghost,
Yeah.
So, exactly.
No, that's hilarious. What's something you've tried recently that surprised you?
So boring. I'm so boring. I nothing. Everything is golf.
I used a new club.
I tried some new shots. I tried some new.
Did it go well?
Doing a couple new things with some clubs over in Scotland and found out that I could, and so that was cool.
Is it going to change your technique?
Yeah, change my handicap.
We do a golf tournament and have plenty of golf listeners. Go ahead and share
my handicap dropped in Scotland, so that was great. I mean, I've just been. A 60 club. I have a high toe 60. I got fitted for clubs this spring, and I just get intimidated. And my internal dialogue during golf is just so bad. My brother and I align on the fact that the things that we say to ourselves with a golf club
you wouldn't say to somebody else.
I should be right. My mouth should be sewn shut if I was that mean to other people.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, I think. Probably, honing that. That's really become my balancing place and space, and where you're just competing against yourself. Yes, you're competing against other people for sure, but
did you have any success with better self-talk? Was that the unexpected thing? Is you know what? We're going to be over here. We're investing all our time into golf. Let's try being nice to ourselves.
Usually, it's after the shot, you laugh about the fact that I was just thinking about this, and then I thought. that should be nicer, and
Yeah.
then you're not. But no, I
Way to
haven't.
shorten the cycle.
Yeah, I haven't executed that, but yeah, I would say I've been trying my hand at some home projects and renovations. I guess from an activity standpoint, I've did some things that
I've got a question for that.
Nobody's seen it yet, so I haven't gotten feedback of whether or not it went well.
So that's actually, so my next question was, because I'm also a DIYer, like for better or worse, and usually for worse. You've mentioned you've loved working on your home and landscaping. What is your favorite kind of weekend project or one you're most proud of? So maybe it's that one, maybe it's something else, but like brag a little.
There's just nothing like the visual transformation of either a clean landscape bed or like a new area, like that thing that's like I know what I want to do with that area, and then making progress on it. But also paint. I like renovated my bulkhead.
So satisfying.
And it had never been done, and then it just like trickled into like, okay, well now this area is brightened up, so then you work on the next thing. So
Give a mouse a cookie.
yeah. I think the visual impact of like fresh paint. I just renovated the deck, and I promised myself the last time I did the deck, I was like, I'm never pressure washing this and scraping this and doing this again.
How'd that go?
Life happens. So I was scraping it, and it was great, and it's beautiful, and it looks great with mums, and it's another couple years before I'll have to do it again.
We might have already covered it because we've talked a little bit about some of the things you love, but when you're not at the brewery, when you're not on the road for the brewery, how do you recharge or stay creative?
Time with my family, for sure. We have a really close, extended family. I have a set of cousins that grew up in Auburn, one of which I spend the most time with. He's an avid golfer, so I probably spend more time with him than almost anybody in my life. But we do all the holidays really big. We do all of my cousins' kids' birthdays really big.
Aww.
We do.
I bet Auntie Jen's a blast.
Yeah, Fun Jen is fun. Yeah, yeah. I really try to outdo the Christmas gift expectations. And if it's like a set of Christmas gifts, like one year I gave them 6 foot tall stuffed animals, and the looks that I got from their mother, who's my cousin but is one of my dearest, closest friends, was just so rewarding in a way that is hard to, to really put into words. But no, they're pure magic. They're just, anybody who has kids or has the privilege to be around kids, watching them grow and be a part of now they're doing sports, and so that's a big part for me, certainly. And then pottery and painting, I'd say, from a creativity standpoint. Nice. I do a lot of sketching of our first labels, and I
cool.
get initial here, with our Delta 9s, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted to do with the fruit and the approach to it, and it looking like an acrylic painting. And so I did some versions to show what I wanted as initial. And sometimes I have that kind of clarity and vision, and then sometimes it's a name that we need that name. How do we make that name work, and what does that look like visually? But it's a part of it that I really like, that I'm definitely not the professional part of it, but it scratches the itch of creativity and seeing something come to life. Because when people are professional at it, they do it a lot better than what you imagine in your mind. So.
All right, now that we know you a little bit, let's get into it, shall we? Our meat and potatoes after our appetizer course. So we start with build, where we're going to talk about creating culture and community and some of the ways that you in your role have helped lean into what building looks like in all things Baxter. What does being a CEO in a male-dominated field look like for you? Have you navigated expectations, assumptions, or opportunities that come with that? And I say that I am also in a male-dominated field, and so if I had to slip one question in that was self-serving, I'm going to get it out of the way on the front end. But part of you building your career has been doing it in some really male-dominated spaces, and I've watched you at work, and just you navigate with grace and strength.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, I started my career out of college in manufacturing in Albany initially, and I was the first female that lasted over a year. And as I navigated a union facility where my first team I managed had an average tenure of 27 years as a 22-year-old, building the credibility and calling out, like, do you think that maybe women didn't last because of something maybe going on here? That wasn't the time in the audience and space. Like, I think it's so much like anything in life is like knowing your audience, like whether it's your communication with your partner or within your family, at work, like knowing your audience, knowing where people are at and when and if they're ready to take that feedback, and understanding too that like you're not going to be the moral compass in every single situation and every single platform, and you shouldn't really have to be, early in my career with Pepsi, the manufacturing side of the business really didn't have a lot of female representation in general. So when we were having conversations about it, I kept driving home, like, what makes a good supervisor? What makes a good manager here? What's good for the role should be less about gender. Yeah. And certainly do things need to happen differently? May people take in information differently? May somebody have more emotional intelligence than the other? Maybe, but maybe not. But I was amongst everybody within my initial class of going into Pepsi were engineers, and I was in economics and sociology. So I was immediately discredited for my lack of clear intelligence because I wasn't an engineer.
Economics degrees just don't get the respect they deserve.
It's just I think it's a fortunate place to be when people just immediately look at you and think you're going to be less than. Yeah. It's a matter of changing their opinions through your actions, and of course there's extremes to that piece that is not fortunate, but in any time when I've been asked like that kind of advice from other females, like, what do you do? It's like you speak a little bit less about, well, I'm a female, I need to know how to be successful as a female. Yeah. Which I definitely, in certain interviews and stuff, I feel like I haven't really checked the box for the person looking for me to be like, here's the trick. But I think, really open dialogue. Be comfortable being uncomfortable is probably some of the best advice I ever got very early in my career. And I spoke to my plant manager who I was with from 22 to 27 about, as I look around and I look forward, there's no one within this organization that's above a department manager that isn't married to someone in the business and has children. Like, how are you changing the scope of how women see themselves moving forward in this organization without those examples, like regardless of what your family life aspirations are? So I don't really have a trick of it. And I think it's unfortunate because when the announcement about me being president came out, every media outlet in the state did something, some sort of piece about like, and she's a woman. And then like in year one, we come through the cycle of however that works within media. I've never worked in media, but it's like, I haven't done a story on Baxter. And, more than half of them did like and she's still a woman and it's still happening. Like, and I'm being a little bit, but that's I'm
laughing because I've been there.
That's
and like,
my
I can
personality.
Appreciate it.
It's when you come across the right person or the right conversation or group where you can have a conversation and sometimes use sarcasm and humor of like, again, probably things I would say that you'd have to edit out. But like, depending on who the audience is, like addressing that in real time when you've got the bandwidth to do it, it is helpful. But I think media does make it a little bit more challenging that like, I can't, I guess if I've lived my life and the most interesting thing about me is the gender I was born with, I hope that's not the case. Yeah. I hope I do a little bit more than what that is.
I mean, that's in who's retelling the story and their values too. Because I would just say like, you've already done that. Like you've already succeeded at doing things far more interesting than what you've done by being a woman or in spite of or because of being a woman. Like the work that you've done, the accolades and accomplishments that you've done are not related to your gender. I'd say there's some attributes I really love about you that might be traditionally kind of like gender based, which I kind of bristle at some of those at myself personally, that I lean into the culture pieces and some of what I've seen really relate to some of your successes. But there's no box I'm looking to check with that question.
Yeah, no.
I know that we have that relationship and we've been able to talk about that before, not just like not just our thoughts on that question, but our thoughts on being asked that question. So I appreciate that you are able to name that in that space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's hard when people are just constantly looking to put you in a particular box, right?
Yeah. Love that about you.
I know the men golfers at Fairlawn would like me to be checking the box of mail to be from the white tees. So.
I bet they would. I bet they would.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's hard when people are like, oh, well, this person's like actually like they're female and they're actually good at this. It's like I try to focus a lot around that language in just common day conversations,
Yeah.
Not on International Women's Day, but like on just common conversations of how we're talking about each other, how we're referencing other females or males or, the craft industry is incredibly hard. And it is incredibly hard for it to work. It is a very small margin business. I think, the boom of craft beer really made people feel like it's this lucrative thing. It's all these people across the state making great money and having fun and just drinking while they figure it all out. And we've had employees that have applied before where we have them do a working interview because they were like shocked that there isn't drinks just being had like on the hour every hour. Like, there's this, I don't know, that disheartening view of the fact of like brewers, for example, like they're really spending most of their day like cleaning and working hard.
Yeah.
And I think.
You mean you don't just taste all day long? Because I think that is the perception people think, and it's not like that's not real.
Yeah, I mean, I just think being from this community just equips you in such a different way to be able to be successful and take the bumps and bruises within like a manufacturing world and life so differently. I grew up, my parents worked at Panalam Industries, like manufacturing in the long hours and on your feet and those
resilience
pieces were, it wasn't something I read about once, like I saw it firsthand. And so I've just always respected hard work, and that doesn't initially get you respect in all the conversations and places you find yourself, but I've found that if you stay true to that piece and what has been my driving principles, that people tend to come to respect you and understand that you really are there to make a positive impact and not just check a box and from a DEI perspective or whatever. So
I think that's right.
But it's knowing your audience and knowing and feeling that out and not feeling like not assuming that something's looking to be taken from you. I think that as I see some of the younger leaders in organizations, not just in my industry, but in others industries, but they feel like they're starting behind, or that something's, the presumption is that they didn't get that job because they're a female. Like, I think it's important to look as an individual contributor at your role, regardless of your company and regardless of the level of, is there an opportunity to improve and learn? And are you with the right team and right management structure that's going to allow you to do that and give you that constructive feedback? Because constructive feedback is hard. And if you have somebody who's willing to invest in you in that time and energy, male, female, otherwise, I think that's really important. That's where I find the most fulfillment in my work, both getting feedback, giving feedback, that piece. It's the hardest part, but it's the part I think that makes a difference. I mean, to be able to have a group of people making a career out of something they really love. Yeah. They really, I'm not typical in the fact that like I didn't come from a brew deck. And there's great examples of that across our state of people who are now president CEOs of their organizations where they founded their brewery, but it started with a small batch system in their garage or whatever it might have been. So, I think credibility, I overthought the fact that I wouldn't have credibility within this industry because my bylaw doesn't look exactly the same.
Well, and because everyone would ask you those questions.
Yeah. But I mean, even within, I think, I think heart and passion and hard work and like in my experience it eventually comes to light that that's the case and that's who you are. So yeah
and for the people that doesn't work on, nothing else would have anyway.
Right Good point. Excellent point.
That is not the audience I'm trying to win.
Yeah absolutely. Right?
Talk to me about, so you've mentioned Delta a couple of times. How do you decide when to innovate? whether that's new flavors, partnerships, or exploring the non-alcohol and THC infused, right? Is that the Delta term that you
Yes,
keep using?
yeah.
Educate us on what Delta is and talk about how you knew when and what's that look like, that process?
So I think just starting with the non-alc, because the non-alc development happened so much sooner than the Delta. We were developing a non-alc for a year before we went to market with it. We had some theories about being able to make a really drinkable, fulfilling non-alc beer, and we didn't see that plethora of options from local producers that you see within the craft segment. And we had people within our own team making some different lifestyle choices around whether sober curious or going sober or taking a dry week a month. When your proximity to alcohol is like ours is, it is that if you're not comfortable with your relationship with alcohol and you can't speak about it and you can't feel comfortable to take days off or months off or whatever it might be best for you and your family, I don't think long term you probably work out within our industry, whether that's at Baxter or anywhere else. And so I love when our products reflect what's happening internally too. And so, what started out as like we think could be a really good idea ended up being incredible. I mean, it has been so incredible. Learning really a new customer base.
Yeah.
But not a new customer base, because typically anybody who has a sober lifestyle at one point in most instances had some sort of relationship with drinking, or people that are just looking to pace for the evening or pace, take that night off. To give them a low calorie non-alc option made at our brewery through blood, sweat, and tears and dumped batches and no tears, actually. No tear. I can't say that.
Tears of joy, maybe.
But truthfully, what a collective effort across our team, all departments in all ways, to launch the non-alc IPA last October. And then we were working on the lager, and Kyle from our team, who's a cellarman for us at the brewery, suggested that we do blueberries. We've got this really, I'm surmising the conversation, but the really successful blueberry beer, that sober drinker's not been given a satisfying, flavored beer. And
for real,
what an incredible thing to have a person on your staff be willing to bring an idea like that to the table, to have a manager that wants to give the credit where credit's due, which is absolutely with Kyle, and then have everybody on board that this is a great idea. We're going to pivot now and make this blueberry beer and go to market with it and have it be a huge success. Absolutely enormous success. And we had a new summer beer, blueberry non-alc, and the 3 deltas all within the 30-day period, not on purpose. Long story short, it's been our year of risks.
Not preferred, maybe, by some, marketing.
And I made a commitment to Merritt, our director of operations and quality, that was no more development for 2025 releases. We'll take a break, take a pause. And then our sales manager came in and was like, these non-alcs are really great and it's been really good. What about a non-alc pumpkin? And Merritt, just very truthfully, it was this is a great idea. We have to do it. I think we can make a great one. And a great one they made. It's been amazing. So
where does these get distributed? I know everything's available at the pub, but how much of your non-alcs have made it to shelves?
Non-alc IPA and non-alc blueberry. Non-alc. I mean, it's thousands of cases.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thousands of cases of the IPA. I think we've just hit the 1,100 case mark for blueberry. The pumpkin, we did a really small batch because we were are we the only crazies that want this? But we've got the Pilsner that we were working on. We've got labels going for that, and the non-alc hazy, and our IPA 6-pack can be found at Hannaford. But hopefully we can sit here next March and say all the non-alc lineups, they all are low calorie, which has been
that's bananas.
Yeah, I mean, it really
feels like a scientific feat from your brewing room. How did you pull that off?
It's accidental, I'll be honest.
Love that.
We were really focused on the process and the consistency of the product, and you're always keeping calories in mind, but we weren't building I need it to be a marketable calorie number. So that's been really remarkable. And as we've sat with people and tried it, I mean, there's just nothing like watching someone sample something they're really satisfied by, and like in person, it's amazing. Like so much. I mean, it's why people love how it's made.
Yeah.
So much goes into getting that into the right consumer's hand for like that satisfied reaction. And even when you're dealing with a buyer who's just like looking to make, I mean, Nonsuch in Poland.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nonsuch. They don't make non-alcs. They wanted to support a local producer with non-alcs.
Double shout out.
Met us out, like had us come out there. We did a little video out in Poland, and that now they're carrying our non-alcs with huge success and the deltas because they're not doing it. So it's like these local producers, particularly in Androscoggin, like the relationship that we have with Gritty's, Lost Valley, Nonsuch, and we're trying to all stay alive and support each other and come up with creative and interesting ways to make the hub of beer here in Androscoggin County at least survive, because the last few years we've only lost people from this community within the craft beer industry. So it's important, like, people to support each other in that way. It was just remarkable, and they've got such a great team. So that's been awesome. But that's kind of how non-alc transpired, and it's been amazing. And the drinkers that we have gotten in the letters that people write in, and now with beer you can't ship it across state lines. So whenever people write in and like, my dog's Baxter, I got engaged at Baxter State Park, whatever, we always had to say, unfortunately, like,
Sorry.
we can't mail this to you. And now we're mailing non-alcs all across the country.
That's great.
And and we'll be, hopefully by the time this airs, we'll be listed on Amazon.
Get it.
Yeah. So it was a big risk. It is a big risk, and we have quality testing that we've never done before that we do externally. So every time we run it, we don't ship it until those quality tests come back. But I think doing it right from the beginning is really important to us, and so that's been great. The Delta 9s. Delta 9 is
What makes it a Delta 9?
It's hemp derived. So that's the part that is really tricky, and it's a risk for us in the perspective of legislatively the cannabis companies, which, I mean, if you look at craft beer growth and cannabis growth within Maine particularly, the trajectory of those two industries are so similar from just sheer, I mean, I don't even know how many cannabis companies there are in Androscoggin County, but
So that balancing of market is happening in the cannabis industry the way that it's happening in the craft brew industry. Like, there was the big boom, that new craft brewery, same with like new weed store on every corner. And the reality is the cannabis industry has also been kind of like dealing with and reckoning both thoughtful collaborations and market adjustments, to put it in like an economic way, which really means like not everybody has made it.
Yeah. And so previous to this hemp exception, you had to go into a cannabis store and show an ID and get your hemp-derived drinks. Now, the milligrams in cannabis stores, yes, they have the low milligrams, but they didn't have the same offerings of low milligrams as they did in the 50, 100, plus, whatever category. So when this came to light that we could do this and it'd be 5 milligrams, what we found through like consumer research is that there was a whole category of people, from the research, I'm not calling out any demographics, but particularly like 45 plus, that was not as used to maybe having that as an option, that didn't identify as marijuana consumers, are the biggest shopper of these Delta drinks. Taking them, a lot of at-home services, companies that can send like mushroom drinks and the low milligram dosage for people to take them before they go to bed. So putting them into a common cooler you can find at Ruper's the grocery store hasn't taken it on yet. Like grocery chains across Maine haven't decided to, but the drinker's there, and people are using it also to pace themselves, and they're using it to explore just not having a hangover in the morning. Everyone in the industry that went before us, which was everybody that's out there, Maine based, was out there kind of similar timelines to us, but they all went the cocktail inspired route, and we went a juice route. So all of ours are juices named after weed strands. And we were told that it was a terrible idea, and like everybody's doing cocktails, you got to do cocktails.
Way to lean into what people, I mean, if people are looking for something different, way to lean into the fact that they're looking for something different.
But it's like anything, right? Like you don't know if it's going to work out.
Yeah.
But luckily, I mean, we took a lot of risks this year. We did a lot of new things, and thank goodness, like they've panned out in a really awesome way. So it's been really fun to watch the team, sales reps to go in with a completely new product category that builds even further brand equity and confidence in on-premise buyers, off-premise purchasers, and then, just patrons of either segment in like, oh, I didn't know Baxter did this.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know Baxter could do this. Like, oh, my dad doesn't drink, but he would drink Deltas, or he would drink a not. Like, it's just, it's been incredible. We were riding the wave at the same point. Like, we've broken the gas pedal off in the development of like the next Deltas to come and the next non-alcs. Like the team is working really hard. So coming out of our busier seasonality of the summer season and then going into all of our annual business plans and things like that are happening right now. So the energy is amazing.
Oh, I love that.
It's been really cool. Well, and projecting on something that you've never done before. Like when you are the most optimistic person, it is hard. Like, that's why you have to hire people that have different strengths and different, that's why the team is so good, because collaboratively, I do think, we're unstoppable in the fact that I think we can just continue the momentum of improving, bringing better products to the world of what we represent and what we drink and what we think others want to drink, and then also, making the hard decisions about which SKUs to move away from, and the drinkers are just the drinking category, and who's spending their disposable income on craft beer is changing so drastically that it's still just as exciting as it was day one. And to be the first to the market with some of these Maine made products with people employed in Maine has been really exciting. I think Baxter, was founded on this idea and got a lot of accolades for first all can brewery, and now everybody's in cans, So to find
it's funny to remember there was a time when it was like looked down upon for craft beer to be in a can, because I feel like it's the standard now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't the intention of like, how do we lead it was really just kind of following our hearts.
Like, they're later and you don't want glass in the woods when you go camping.
Yeah.
Or on the boat when you're like, there's just some fundamental, it seemed so obvious to me once you guys made it obvious. I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah.
Like, right, these should have always been cans.
Yeah. But it's great to be like, back with something new to market that's just a bit of a different approach. And the 16-ounce can versus 12-ounce can of the Delta 9s is definitely unique, and we're excited. We're excited to, hopefully around Thanksgiving time, we'll be announcing next 2 flavors of Deltas to launch in the 10 milligrams, which the only 10 milligrams we've done is the one with Roopers. So
that's exciting.
Yeah, the Among Us. So yeah,
so Mark occasionally gets to do tasting tales on our partners lunch bunch, and we love them. We do a lot of podcast crossovers. I'm yet to make it in for one of their morning tasting tales, which is when Roopers just brings in some bevies.
Yep.
And they sample at 7 a.m. and I'm yet to find a day where anything after 7 a.m. could allow for that to be my 7 a.m. But have you done a THC test yet?
3 of them.
We did
Baxters.
We did one together.
We did.
How was that day?
It was so good.
How was the rest? It was so good. It was the best day of work I've ever had.
The energy in that room is always so positive anyways. And then you sprinkle Jesse, who's just like a beam of sunshine. Especially, the idea of Among Us and Do They Live Among Us is, really did very sincerely come from him and come from conversations of like, what's next? We love partnering with them. It's such a privilege, and it's so fun, and it's always done, over St. Patty's Day golf or over beers or taste tests or whatever. And it's a watermelon flavor, and it's just so thirst quenching, yet you want more of it.
Drinkable.
It really, and it's crazy. Like, of course I'm going to say that, but it's not. Like, I'm not even a good liar. Like, it really is just,
I can verify that.
Yeah, it really was just drinkable, and everybody in the room's enjoying it. And, some people, it's their first time with it, and you don't like feel the impact that second.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's not like a martini.
No.
Right. Like, which is the point and why it's so preferred by so many, right? But
yeah.
How was the rest of your day?
It was great. Yeah,
So creative.
I'm by myself back in that
Is that
room
the day you
after
made
the
the rock?
podcast is
Is
done.
that the day you made the rock intro for your segment?
No, that was a different day, and that was I was home alone that day with
see?
my recording
Left
equipment.
to your own devices.
But you know, the great thing about the Among Us too is not only is it delicious and effective, but the artwork on the can glows in the dark.
What?
Yeah.
So it's the first time we ever did that too. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. Like we've had so
Also
many.
that, says Jen. Also that this
Yeah.
year.
We there'll be in our label printer. We won an award for a beer that we did last winter called 13 Below, and the guy on our team, Devin, who designed that label and like inspired by the Norway Lights, like that was one where we kind of knew what we wanted to do, but. So we worked with our label printer. Shout out to Amherst Label, not an LA company, but they should be. But
Still time for them.
we were like, we want to do this glow in the dark label, and they're like, we have been waiting for somebody to ask. We know that it's possible. We have to do research. We'll be back to you. So yeah, long story short, we made it happen. And so like the aliens light eyes glow in the dark, and then the UFO beam glows in the dark.
Love.
And there was just nothing I mean, it was at such a trajectory of like things were happening so quickly, and batches were selling so quickly that I was like, Merritt, we got to move the schedule around. What can we make happen? We got to still satisfy all the core drinkers. And so navigating that as a team, it's so easy to like look back and be like, yep, and we did that. Like,
Oh, yeah, that.
But it was so cool. And the day the labels landed, the very first thing that everybody did was like
I love that
take
you
them
just
into
say landed. Sorry, but that was too
Yeah.
fun.
like took it into a dark room, and they're like, they work. They're sending the pictures around, like, because you don't know,
Right.
Like, is it going to be like the glow in the dark, like plastic
Right,
stars you
right.
had in your bedroom, or like, which I was never allowed to have, but my friends had them, and they didn't really glow.
Yeah.
This thing, if you heat it up,
Glows.
it glows. Not heat it up, but like if you put it into some
Yeah,
light,
yeah.
So
I
it's
love
cool.
that.
The commercial for it
Oh,
as well is priceless.
Well, and that's just the beauty of Rupers and of Jesse and their whole team. Like we're so fond of their whole team. They Steve and Stephanie and like just everyone has always supported Lewis and Auburn in such an impactful way,
Yeah.
and really try to do everything to like keep employees for a long time. And he's just still like wild and spunky and like amazing. Just comes up with an idea, and he's the type of person, I won't even say the type of guy, like he's the type of person that you sit bouncing ideas around with, and he brings them to life. And that's
the
that's what
doers.
we love about that.
I love
that
that.
team. It's so fun, and I just feel so fortunate. It's just the funniest thing, because like when we were in high school, we did bottle collecting at Edward Little, like that was our way of raising money. And Steve like would always just tease me so hard about like, nobody has this many bottles. Like, why? We collected bottles at all the football games, all the basketball games, like, so just being from this community, it's important to me, and it's definitely like Rupert has a whole section of my heart for sure. Yeah.
I guess so. It was my next question anyway, but like you've been talking about it so much, I want to put a fine point on it. What role does collaboration play in staying relevant, both within the industry and across sectors? And so, like, you've already talked about collaboration among staff, collaboration across departments, collaboration with other brands and businesses, whether it's the labeling company or like Ruper's. And so, I mean, is that like a core value? Is that an intentional thing, or is it just like a happy accident because you're fun and work with cool people? Like, and I mean,
No, I mean, I definitely.
it seems huge.
Yeah, it's a big part of what we do. I mean, collaboration, I think we really believe in listening is really impactful for learning. So when, the Craft Brewers Conference is a huge thing that we invest in every spring, and going out there and even just, it's like any business, getting time away from your direct office, putting out those direct fires and thinking bigger picture, bigger scale, efficiency, safety, cleanliness, employee, those pieces. Certainly, that's a big, where we spark a lot of ideas. They give you incredible amount of data around consumer trends nationally. We're not a national brand, so all that feedback is always kind of weighted in with that. I think the Twisted Tea drinker is an interesting one, and one that very much was sparked by our last Craft Brewers Conference, and why we will be bringing you a tea and lemonade.
That's a little teaser for next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope to launch it at our anniversary party.
There is a whole segment around. So I'm not personally a twisted tea drinker. And there is a whole segment of people who are ultra committed.
Yes.
Like it is a segment.
And
it's not a preference
Sun Cruiser
of
and Surfside have done some incredible things.
Yeah.
They're vodka based. So it's certainly keeping some sort of temperature check on like what's happening in national trends, state trends, how Maine drinkers trend a bit differently. But we're such an interesting state in the fact that we, you know, with our population quadrupling for 4 months of the year, and then like all of those national trends are coming to Maine.
Oh, that's such a great point.
And looking for that thing that they want. So, I mean, it's a conversation. I wouldn't say it's our guiding principles by any means. A lot with 24 tap lines at the pub and having them be all Baxter, a lot of times there's beers on that lineup that are things that we're working on, whether they're named that or not. Like, beer is just emotional. So you can put a different liquid that you might be working on with a different name and people feel something about that name and don't feel it about the liquid. So I think, you know, consumer feedback, we have a pilot system so anyone in our business can submit an idea for a beer. So sometimes beers are just on the Fruit Loops beer that we did. With Joey wanted to see if he could use Fruit Loops and make it so that it wasn't the color brown like the way your milk would get after a colored cereal. We'll never make that beer again. That will never happen again. Coming first and foremost from him, he was like, absolutely not. But I mean, I think that seeing your idea come to life and seeing it not work does way more than me telling you, you know, given the data, I don't believe this could be successful. And so if an employee is going to put in the work and do the pilot system, be part of the brew and help name it and understand the complexities of even just getting it from our building to our building. Yeah. I think it teaches you so much more about like what we're doing and what we're trying to do than anything else. So that can happen. Sometimes something takes off. 13 Below came out of one of our brewers wanting to make a cold IPA, and it was a huge success. And then we gave it a name and a label for our anniversary party because we kept rebrewing it. So, you know, every kind of collaboration in that way, it comes to life a bit differently. The fine details for me are fascinating, and I love that so many of our beers have such a different story of how they've come to be. And we've done a lot of collaboration beers and labels and things with Travis Mills and other philanthropic ventures. What's really hard is that craft beer drinker doesn't spend that money that they would spend on donating towards their philanthropic cause in the same way. So we've learned a lot around that process. And then, you know, just general outreach from partnership or collaborations. It's so much, right? Like any business. So we've kind of made general principles and internally, like we don't do anything with kids. Like it's not that I don't love kids. I just don't want to ever be criticized for this idea that like we're trying to hook them young and like the Joe the Camel issues. Like we're gonna stick with the 21 pluses. Yeah. We'll wait for them to come to us, you know, type of thing. So we have a monthly cause at the pub where there's a draft line that every beer poured for that month, $1 goes back to the organization. And so we really started with stuff that we, like Dempsey, we've worked with for years. October is for the Maine Resiliency Center. November's for Androscoggin Hospice House. I sit on the board for the annual gala on that. That's my grandmother passed away at the hospice house in Auburn. And so it really, like the connections to those organizations, Safe Voices, Try for a Cure, I do so we start with what our internal community cares about, and that kind of fills up our plate as far as the giving back portion of what we do. But like, I think the openness to, have we done this before? Does it satisfy a thing? Can we do it well? Is it a different challenge? It's just felt across the whole organization. It's really not like a hierarchical thing. Yeah, no, it's not. If somebody has a connection to somebody and thinks it could be... I've got like a second cousin in your production line who like speaks so highly about the brand, the product, the work, his coworkers, and feels a sense of ownership. It's awesome. To the work and to the outcome. We've partnered with you. So like we just partnered with you with Taste the Harvest. Yeah. We partnered with you at Uplift's kickball tournament this summer. Yeah. And like you and your team are always really intentional about
how you'll partner with us and like what it takes, and it is always fun having your team come to work with, and I love that. And you guys always show up for the things that are like, whether it's you in a leadership role relative to like standing on the board, or some of our advocates, you serve on our advocacy committee, like you guys take partnership very seriously. And one of the things that I really appreciate and respect of the many is you're really careful to not make a commitment you can't keep.
Yeah.
Like I think, and I'm a big fan of like the winning partnership is the one you know when to say no or yes.
Yeah.
It's on the front end, and because that's how you know you can like follow through with it.
Yeah.
You guys do that well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's like, it's never easy to say no, especially when the causes are great. But yeah, we've got organizations like the Andrew Chicago Women's Network. We've enjoyed some great nights at the pub. We've got Uplift LA has done some of the nights there. But Trivia on Thursdays is its own little community, which is fun. We've got the Shriners group comes annually. We always do the Adopt a Family in December. So it's not that it's perfect, but we are constantly kind of evolving. Okay, how do we do better? How do we show up a little bit stronger for this community, this demographic? How do we market it better? Doing some blog posts around LA land trusts and things of that nature. I don't. It's not a $10,000 produced commercial about how good the organization is, but it's our little piece, and we're very good at being constructively critical of what we do and how do we just keep improving on it. Continuous improvement applies to everything we do.
Same
across
here.
the board.
Do you ever find like that's a sword that cuts both ways?
No, I'm such a geek. Like, I love it.
You can
like
love
learn
it.
something about it, and someone's day has been made a little bit easier, or even they have a platform and they're like, I wanted it to be this way, but you instead of them keeping it internally, they said they wanted something different, or they felt like it took a step back, and maybe it was, I think it creates such great dialogue.
As a leader, the tension that I find around this, I'm like, I would love, me and all of our listeners would love your thinking, but we're so committed to continuous improvement here. Like, it's ingrained in our culture, the way we like plan debriefs and follow through with debriefs, and just like our annual process, our regular reoccurring process. And I love everything about it. I love that anyone on our team can make suggestions about the direction we should head in, or how we could, make that better. The downside that I am like always as a leader, particularly trying to balance, and I think it weighs more heavily on leadership. I think probably everyone has a sense of feeling it, but is this, how do you keep your commitment to continuous improvement without it feeling like the goalposts are moving? That's the tension point that I sometimes feel is like and that is challenging for some individuals. Like, I think there's some both like professional growth moments and just like experience, kind of like gaining experience over one's career. But this notion of like wanting to improve doesn't mean we've changed all the milestones or that we've moved all the goalposts. But I think for some people, like, a commitment to continuous improvement is like a commitment by design to staying in a somewhat fluid environment, right? There's no static there. There's no like, okay, we've reached our goal and we're not going to change, is like ludicrous for me to say out loud. It's not something I believe. I can't even imagine living in that life. But it means that then by definition, you're making a commitment to things always being a little bit change, right? A little bit of change kind of all of the time. Right. You're seeking it. You're being intentional about creating it. Right. And every once in a while, that's like, as a leader, that's the like, how do and I find like the best luck I've had in answering that question, which is like, I don't think it's a question you just answer and, knock it off the list. But the best thing I can come up with to manage that is pacing of change, feedback loops. The continuous improvement cycle is like, if it's paced too rapidly, people are like, when is it going to be? Like, when will you have achieved the thing or finished the thing? And like, you don't want to look at people like, never. Isn't that awesome? How do you manage that?
But I think it's another example of like knowing your audience, right? Yeah. Like, you have team members that join your team that want to know that they're with an organization that's going to keep that process going. Yeah. And then they maybe learn what that process entails for their own execution of
And feels
tasks,
like,
and they're
yeah.
like, maybe we should slow down.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in hiring, like-minded people across the board. I think different people are going to be able, that pace is going to look very different for certain people in the organization. And there's going to be some managers that really strive and are excellent at getting that continuous improvement project down to the next level while they focus on a continuous improvement up above. But I think that comes with practice and experience and also the vulnerability to say, like, we're going too fast. And so it happens so differently in our different silos of what we do. Just the nature of the sales team, like they don't take on a continuous improvement project in the same way that our ops team would.
Right.
And that's okay. But they're like, we're continuously improving where we're reevaluating, or the duration that we're evaluating the particular success of the SKU, or further defining that metric of velocity. What is a successful velocity? What's our target points of distribution for this particular product upon launching when you don't have chain? That looks very different than if you get 73 positions in Hannaford on day one. You can't then assume you're going to have 120 and you've got no Hannaford chain. So, I think it's a lot of open dialogue, reasonable timelines. And I think when there's a lot of energy and somebody's excited about something, they maybe are thinking about the holistic picture, not the steps to get it there for it to be sustainable. So that sustainable success and improvement, I think, is so important. Whereas if people are racing to say, like, we're continuous improvement, we're checking the box that we did that thing, I've worked in organizations where their like measure of success of something is, it's a not repeatable task that happens once every 10 years. And you can feel thankful that that's done, but if you're chalking that up as like you're continuously improving, that's not really the category of work that it falls in. It's a must do. It's you have to register, you've got to do your licensing. And I think talking to people about their understanding of that and where they see it, at the pub, like quarterly we're evaluating our menu items. We just launched a couple of new menu items, removed a couple that weren't ordered, so why have those items on the menu? It's I think it shows up very differently in the different facets of our business. And sometimes when somebody's feeling like, gosh, it feels like Shane has moved so many projects forward and I'm stagnant, it's more about having that conversation of like, well, what is your biggest issue? How do we create something? And maybe continuous improvement project isn't the project for where you're at right now, or where your particular team is. So I guess it is the idea that like the goalpost keeps moving, but so does the starting point.
Maybe that's the way to think about it.
So it's like the race becomes shorter in my mind because you're not, and I don't even see it as a race, but the target becomes shorter because you're starting from a more informed place. You've evaluated your process that's gotten you there. You've, hopefully if you have a good evaluation process, you've aligned with your team about which steps we're going to skip the next time, and being transparent too in the instances like, I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
But okay, we're ready. We want to try this. Like, like when you're taking big risks, I think it's been important to our team this year. I think on some of the biggest risks that I've had to come forward and be like, listen, this is a risk. We all know this is a risk. This falls on me. In the end, this doesn't work. There's no conversation I'm having with you as an individual contributor that like, this is your fault. It's nobody's fault. We've been our best informed, because Delta 9s as juices could have fallen flat on our faces. Like that could have not resonated with people at all, and people needed to have it be a cocktail because that's what they had. We didn't know.
Yeah.
So I think the team feels strong about those improvements and their ability to contribute to them because of that.
Yeah.
Like nobody's like getting it. It's not like in the end, if something goes wrong, it's not who do we blame. It's like what process broke down.
Yeah.
And then how do we make that better so that it doesn't happen again for the benefit of everybody, not the benefit of making sure Susie's day goes smoother. It's like, no, it's just we want to keep like, don't we want to work less? Isn't that the goal?
If that is not the goal of continuous improvement. Mark, have you had that experience? Anything related to?
There's a golf game to work on, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's also
continuously improving.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, that's the whole point of your handicap. It's like your handicap in golf. Like, puts you at a level regardless if you're playing against somebody who's a scratch golfer or they're a 10. Like there's a process that puts you on a level playing field. And if you go and you play lights out better than your handicap in competition, sometimes that happens. Then you win. And if you don't, but if you play on average your handicap and the person plays on their handicap, it's anybody's game. And that's, it's one of my favorite parts of it.
Yeah.
You really are playing against yourself. I mean, yes, you're playing, and the mental part of it and being in competition or having to play through rain or all of those pieces certainly have an impact. But if you look at it like beating your own score, maximizing on the holes that you get strokes, and it's a great example. It's exactly the way I look at golf.
I love that. Let's ask you a Thrive question, which here's one I'm dying to talk about, I think, is, we've talked about like the choices Baxter and then you by coming back to Baxter and then, leading Baxter have made about its like commitment relationship to the geography, place, economy of this region. What do you see that contribution as, or what aims do you have around that contribution? Like that's just a choice that your company has made multiple times. You could have put a pub somewhere else, or you could have not done a pub as grand and embracing the history of the pub that you have, right? Like it wasn't a choice you made once. Yeah. You Baxter, right? Like It's a choice that's been made over and over again. And I've had the pleasure of hearing you, like hometown girl, you talk about your love for this community and how that is part of the alignment with your love for your profession, is like that commitment and duality. And so talk a little bit about how you see that relationship, or how you think about those choices. Or, I mean, you're an amazing employer. You're like a contributor to the local economy. You're a contributor to the local nightlife. You're a reason that we can be proud of this place. And so like, there's a million reasons that I see that as impactful and important to me, to my children, to so many efforts that I'm involved in. What's your reflections on that?
Well, I mean, I definitely appreciate all of your kind words, and I wouldn't feel right like really taking credit for the initial decision to be in Lewiston. I wasn't here at that time. Tom Platts, who originally financed Baxter's initial business plan and is now the full owner of Baxter, his commitment to making sure that this brewery stayed in Lewiston, like there wasn't an option. He had no interest in the project if it wasn't in Lewiston, and really believed. And we've had so many conversations now certainly over the last 8 years, but just in my lifetime, about kind of his perspective on Lewiston Auburn, and it's a person I've always looked up to and respected so much that from a perspective of like, if you talk to any of the nonprofits in Lewiston Auburn, like now being where I am and how much credit they give to his support of these organizations and how much he really believes that Lewiston Auburn is an incredible community to raise a family. I mean, he did that, right? Like that's what him and his wife, Paula, did. And so when he wanted Baxter there in Lewiston, it was very purposeful. He thought that it was a great idea, an all-can brewery, and he thought what a great monumental piece. I mean, bear in mind, Baxter is only the 16th brewery in Maine to be licensed. So there wasn't this plethora of, you can hit 45 breweries in a 5-mile radius in Portland at that time. So the intention, and I don't want to skim over, I wasn't here, but the intention of it in Lewiston is like, here, draw people in to this community. And once you're here and you're here for a beer, and we didn't have a restaurant.
By the way, there's other cool stuff.
Yeah, you're grabbing a lunch. You're like seeing the river. And then even in the development of the pub, like thank God that he's an architect at heart and has a beautiful vision. I'm like TikToking things to figure out how to design my house. Like I can appreciate a beautiful design, but even as we sit in front of business partners, I always kind of go back to the fact of like, once you come into that space, you see that it's worth coming back.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
a unique vibe. And I don't know if like if you grew up in Lewis and Auburn, you just love exposed brick and like warm lighting, or that's just a universal thing. But
some HVAC I can see in paint black. Yes.
Yeah, but the history of it and being on the river and you know, I think we as a community are fighting this name calling of our area that's just so unwarranted and so representative of such a small instance or portion of people or historical something, that there's just so much charm to this community and so much charm to interacting with people here and the people knowing your name. And it's a very Cheers aspect. Like,
so much.
I've got a bartender going to the Pats game this weekend with one of our regulars. Like, it's the relationship draws so much. We depend on the local community. You know, we don't have this influx of tourism, and I feel fortunate for that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, in the summer things get slower at the pub because, frankly, people are going to their friends with a lake house and beaches and doing those things. But like, the amount of people we know our names, the Mug Club, those pieces, I think people take a pride in that space. People that were originally patrons of the tap room that's now our lab, they take a pride in it. In the same way that, like, I have high school teachers that take a lot of pride in my role. Like, they're like, yeah, you wouldn't be there without my class. I'm like,
absolutely,
definitely. Like,
shout out to the teachers doing the good work.
Yeah, no, but it's amazing. Even having like teachers, like, it's just, yeah. So I can't take credit for the decision or the drive to be in Lewiston. I feel so fortunate that that's his ethos and like guiding principles, and fortunate that he's an architect, because, you know, the lighting and even the way like everything was done, and the exposed like brick and
rock.
Yeah.
Like the entire slate. I don't know what, like, but it's a piece of the earth that you built the pub around.
Yeah.
And
blowing open the ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean, I just sent our social media marketing person, Ari, pictures of like when that floor first got torn up. That entire room was filled with wood. They used to call it the wood room. When I first got to Baxter, it was 14 to 16 foot long planks that filled that room. And so the first Christmas, like holiday season, I was here and business was slower. Myself and the staff moved all that wood out of the room so they could start construction. They were like, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We've heard like it might happen, you know, whatever gets kind of the rumor mill gets turning. To see that come to life, it's just been amazing. And the patio, like the patio in the
gas lights, and then like there's such a vibe from the minute you walk in.
And the Color Wizard like did such an incredible job on the Lewiston like historical mural. And yeah, I mean, I think that guest experience is something that we're continually revisiting. And like, how do we celebrate the fact like some people can see what the Historical Society requires of those buildings to be a limitation, but my God, what an incredible guideline for just a beautiful way to restore a building. And then, you know, I look at that bridge and I just look at like our future. That's what I think about. It's dismantled and disheveled, and like our annual business planning decks, we like put a banner over it because it's so like, you know, not as beautiful as the building. Yeah. But to hopefully look back in 5 years and say, remember when, you know, that felt like a dream. So I mean, we are not going anywhere. That's for sure.
Thanks. Don't.
Yeah.
Keep that up.
But please come and visit us.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was such a hard part as an onlooker of watching the decision for Side by Each to close. Yeah. Is like, what high quality people, what a different business model, you know, the way they pivoted and really made it unique in their own, and the way the community like showed up to claim their frustration and sadness of them closing. And it's like, we need to really
let's do that before we get to the closing.
Look around and look at, this isn't the first person in Lewis and Auburn that hasn't been able to make this work, and it's really hard. You know, and Gritty's has the fortune of having other locations. But my God, if you know Jackie, the GM there, like I don't know if she sleeps. Like she
barely.
She does every role that there is. And, you know, John and Travis and Darren holding it down at Lost Valley, like they've got the ski mountain to support. But like we we need it. We need the patron support. We need, have your baby showers and your holiday parties here in Lewiston, Auburn. Portland's great. Lewiston's better.
Yeah, that's gonna be the new motto. We'll just put it on a tagline. As we get I could talk to you for forever, and I'm trying to respect your time. We always like to close with a reflection. If you could give advice to your younger self or someone just starting out on a leadership journey, what would you say?
What would I say? I would say vitality over utility. Don't define yourself by your utility. Got to take care of yourself if you want to stay on this planet and contributing and continuing to do the right work and grow and learn, probably.
I feel targeted.
I was hoping you said somebody out there I hope feels seen.
I'm making sense of that. And I'm I do define myself. I literally, how can I be useful? Is the way in which and this is an area of continuous improvement for myself.
Yeah, I think when you define a lot of your self-worth around what did I bring to the table, you get a little bit lost in are you taking care of yourself before you get to the table? So, yeah.
Kudos. That's great advice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Wish 20-year-old Jen knew that, but that's
the thing, right? that's the...
Yeah, I think it's so easy to say.
60-year-old Jen is going to be thank you, 40-year-old Jen, for getting that right.
Yeah, yeah.
Seriously.
No, I do feel that way. And it's and, I think it's tempting to say, I would have said to slow down, but I wouldn't have. Nothing would have... It's not my personality, and nothing would have changed. There's so many things I've been so fortunate to experience, because of the speed and the willingness to I'll drive blind into this rock. What happens?
See how it goes.
Let's see. Let's get
I
wild.
love that the word is vitality. I think that's such a great
Well, I feel you always
choice.
say progress over perfection.
Yeah.
And I feel the
vitality is so much more vibrant than that, right?
Yeah. And it's so encompassing. It's not just stay alive.
Yeah.
Make sure you're breathing. It's living your best life.
Yeah. Thrive.
Yeah.
Go ahead and thrive.
Yeah.
Actually thrive.
Yeah. And people say progress over perfection a lot, which is, I very much draw from that. And there's moments in time but the vitality over utility, I think, speaks to a lot of my, whatever.
Really solid advice.
Trauma.
Yeah.
All the things we're working
We've
through.
all got ours, right? No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it phrased that way. Is that am I putting that on the bottom, quote, Jenn Lever, 2023?
Yeah. Sometimes I write it, I'm on having a particularly challenging day, and then trying to make, those all the pushes of your day, the unexpected things that come up, and it's okay, that means I might not eat today, or not for a diet's sake, but just I could really utilize that 30 minutes to do something else, know? And, yeah.
I keep protein shakes on hand for the days that I'm not gonna eat.
Yeah.
Because what a compromise. I'm going to re-question those now, though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Feeding my soul with this advice.
But that's the continuous improvement piece, too. I think, it really, like I said, I am a geek. Everything just kind of comes back to that. Yeah. It's showing up a little bit better.
I've watched you lean into your vitality more over the last couple of years. And it's been a really, really wonderful thing to witness for you as someone who cares about you.
I appreciate that.
But it is also really powerful modeling for your peers and people who are watching that you probably don't even think of, like me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
From my team perspective, I've got a very lucky team. Even when you were speaking earlier about the dad's piece and whatever, it's I realized this a couple years ago. It's it's not a hiring question that we have, but the males on our staff are incredible humans.
Yeah.
They show up and prioritize their friendships, their partnerships, their fatherhoods in ways that I've never had the fortune of having in the same way in the other organizations I've worked for. And I'm proud of that. And we work really hard to protect that. And as somebody who doesn't have kids, like the idea that like your flexibility should be defined on whether or not you've had the privilege of being a parent doesn't really work for my algorithm either. You know, it's like that stuff I like to do and people I like to be around. I'd like to see them when I'm not at zero energy, you know? And so I think that's something our staff really does exceptionally well is show up for each other and be honest when they're like, I need to be home earlier than I was expected to be today. If you get what I'm saying, you know, like whatever it is, but it's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you as always for being here. Thanks to our listeners who are tuning in to Build, Lead, Thrive. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and share this episode, especially this episode, with someone who believes in the power of local leadership. Thanks for being here, Jenn.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We're gonna get to know you. We're gonna talk it out. We're gonna get to know you and what you're all about. We're gonna get to know just what makes you feel alive. We're gonna get to know how you build, lead, and thrive.
Build, Lead, and Thrive. Voices of the Androscoggin.